What's up, everyone? This is Steve Strelacci, and today we are talking about the new product launch from Line 6 for NAMM 2021. This is the first NAMM show that I've missed in the last 6 or so years. My favorite thing to do every year is to go and meet all of my other men that I've met on the internet in person. I guess it's a little weird when you put it that way. So normally at the NAMM show, we get to see firsthand all the new products coming and meet the people behind the products, aside from our internet friends. Normally I'd be at the Line 6 booth hanging out with you guys and, talk about the new stuff, but we had to settle for the online NAMM this year, finding out online what's happening. So Line 6 has launched the Stomp XL. So what the hell is the Stomp XL, and why is it good and why is it bad? We are going to look at some good, some bad, some really bad, ugly, some great, and basically try to give you guys as much information as I've gathered so far on this unit, and you guys can make the decision whether you think it's a great one or not. So let me know in the comments as we go through the video what you guys think of each feature. While you're down there, also hit that subscribe button. It'd be greatly appreciated. And let's talk about more HX Stomp stuff. So literally, this is not meant to be a new groundbreaking product that's going to change the universe or change the world in any way, shape, or form. This is quite literally an HX Stomp with extra foot switches, and that's pretty much it. There are a couple of cool features that are involved with it, but at its core, it's just an HX Stomp with added foot switches. And I'm not going to talk about what's good or bad yet. As we go down the list, it's all going to happen that way. So it can literally load your HX Stomp presets if you have current ones. If you want to download from Custom Tone, the presets from HX Stomp are compatible with the HX Stomp XL. And I'm assuming that it's the same 8 blocks at launch. I don't know if they're going to try to add any. I doubt it, because without the DSP, there's probably no reason to add blocks, but I would assume it's going to be 8 blocks at launch, just the same way as the HX Stomp is currently. All right, aside from those basics, let's get started with this run through of what we're looking at here. Let's start off with the price. So the HX Stomp XL is going to come in at $750, which is $150 more than the counterpart in the regular HX Stomp. And I think that that's a pretty good competitive price, because a lot of people that have been using the HX Stomp have been using a MIDI controller like the Morningstar MC6, which is a great MIDI controller. It's solid, it adds foot switches to the Stomp, but this thing comes in at $229 new, plus you need a MIDI cable, and I'd always recommend getting a pretty decent cable instead of cheaping out to make sure, it lasts, and plus you need another power supply for this. So $150 upgrade versus a $230 plus upgrade, and you lose one spot on your power supply if you're going to use an external MIDI controller. So I do think that this is competitively priced, but it does get a little bit dangerously close to the price of a used LT, which might be too big for some people, but it might be the solution for some people. If you're looking for the all-in-one gigging unit, maybe going the extra couple bucks for the LT would be a better move. But if you're a pedal board user, then this might be a really nice option. So let's look at some of the features that we're getting in the Stomp XL. So we have 4 snapshots, we have 6 foot switches, and the big things that were added are the mode switch and the tap tempo tuner button, a dedicated one. So previously on the HX Stomp, you would only have 3 options. By the way, I got these from Gear by Seba. These are Chad Boston button toppers. He's the guy that runs the big Facebook group for all the HX family of products. And they're really nice button toppers. I get a lot of questions about these, and send a lot of people your way, Chad. So hope you appreciate it. So a big problem was that you can set foot switch 3 to be the tuner and the tap tempo, but then you lose functionality of foot switches, which was a real stress, and it's a headache when you're trying to max out these 3 foot switches, and one of them being a tuner is really tough. So it was very widely used that you have an external tuner. You can, by the way, push these 2 arrows and get your tuner up, but that's obviously not a solution while you're gigging and you want to step on something. So the new one has a dedicated tuner and a mode switch. So let's talk about that mode switch. The mode switch is a really cool addition because it's adding pedal edit mode on top of being a mode switch. So for those of you that don't know, the mode switch is what's going to basically switch you from snapshots to pedal board, or from presets to pedal board. So you have either snapshots or presets. And then the other mode is pedal board mode, where you can custom lay out a pedal board. It's as simple as that. And if you hold down that mode switch, it takes you into pedal edit mode, which is one of my favorite underused features of the Helix. Pedal edit mode lets you dial in things with your feet. So all of the buttons become parameters and you can click and tweak and adjust while you play, which I think is one of the best features of the Helix that's not talked about enough. So if you haven't checked that out and you're a current Helix user, definitely look into pedal edit mode. Another big part of that pedal edit mode is when you're in that pedal board mode, you have access to use the command center, which was the best update that's ever happened to the Helix. The command center is something that I use literally all the time. It changed everything about how I make my presets. So for those of you that don't know what this is, when you're in pedal board mode, you have a blank canvas of 6 foot switches, it looks like. I'm pretty sure this is how it's gonna work. I doubt there would be a bank switch in the pedal board mode. So you'll have 6 switches to do whatever you want with. So you can set them up to be snapshots, which are literal presets within your preset. So they're, dialed in perfectly, tweaked sounds. You can change parameters and all that good stuff, turn things on and off with one switch, can control everything. And then you can have one be a preset, which will take you to a totally different tone. And you can have the rest be stomp boxes, and you can mix and match and have any combination of those that you want to your heart's desire. Customize your own pedal board. If you don't do that on the Helix, you're missing out, because that's like the best feature that's ever come out for it. Check out the command center, and I'm so glad that they incorporated that into the Stomp XL. So let's talk about the size of the Stomp XL. How XL is it? So compared to a normal Stomp, it's pretty much almost double the size. So a regular Stomp is about 7 inches wide, and the Stomp XL is gonna be 12.5 inches wide. So almost double the size lengthwise. I like that it's laid out lengthwise because I think that's a little bit more pedal board friendly, allows you to stack on top of it, which is probably where I would put my pedals anyway. I definitely prefer it laid out this way instead of like square, because I feel like putting like an HX effects on your pedal board was like a really hard fit, like, because it's just a gigantic kind of rectangle instead of like the long skinny one like this. I think I'm gonna prefer that. So I like the horizontal layout. I think that's a win. The ins and outs are pretty much exactly the same as the Stomp. So if you take a look at this image of the layout of the back panel, it's all of the same things that you would see on your regular HX Stomp. You have your expression pedal, you have your inputs, stereo inputs, your USB, your DC in, your power, headphones, MIDI, and your effects loop. It's a stereo send and then 2 mono returns. So if you have any stereo effects, you need a Y cable, or you can get creative with different ways of using that. Let's talk about this volume knob. I think this is such a cool addition. They've added a spring-loaded volume knob to the back panel. So I'm gonna use my, I don't have one, so I'm gonna use this. So instead of this volume knob just being kind of in a random place where a cable can catch it or someone can, knock into it and have it move, it's now on the back panel, and it's also recessed in and spring-loaded so that you have to push it to pop it out. And when it pops out, you can adjust it. And then when you push it in, it clicks into place and it locks, and you never have to worry about it. That's just a nice breath of fresh air, because there's so many times I disable the volume knobs on all of my HX units, my Stomp, my Pod Go, my Helix. The big knob does nothing for me. I always wind up bypassing it out of fear that it's not gonna be in the right place. So many times before I did that, I'd turn this on and be like, why am I getting such a low signal? And it's because this volume knob wasn't turned up in the right place. So I really love that they added the volume knob to the back and made it lockable. That's a nice one. I also like that all the jacks are on the top now. So if you were maxing out an HX Stomp and using every single jack on this, like, can you imagine 3 from this side? You have 5 on the top, and then you have your MIDI on the back. It gets a little bit out of hand and a little bit crazy with the wiring. So I like that everything is now neatly along the top of it. And I love that it's top mount, so it's a lot more pedal board friendly than having to find space on 3 sides of the HX Stomp. So that's another good one. Let's talk about this screen. So the screen is laid out like an LT, like a Helix LT, where you have the 6 buttons. It looks like the 6 foot switches are 6 logos on the display. And it says the name of the effect. You probably can't customize it. If it looks that way, it's probably gonna be like the LT where you can't custom name things, but you might be, I might be wrong. It's on the right side, which I'm seeing a lot of people online complaining about, but Why? Who cares? If I've been a user of the M9 for like forever until I got my Helix, the M9 was such a big piece of my gear kit for such a long time, and it's laid out exactly the same way. The screen that looks just like this is on the far side, as you can see in the pictures, because I'm used to the M9 layout where the screen's on the top right. I don't get why this is weird to people. That's how you would plug in a pedal board. I feel like going left to right. Or going right to left. Yeah, going right to left is how you would normally plug in a pedal board, so that's where I would naturally look. Also, having the mode and the tap tempo switch kind of alone, I feel like those have to be on the bottom right after being set up there in the Helix. So those being in the bottom right, what else are you going to put above it besides the screen? So I have no problem with that. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. I think that's a good debate and a good debate to have. All right, let's talk about some of the bad. Let's get real with this thing. And I mean, realistically, was this even necessary? I don't know. I don't know if you're a current Helix user, a current HX Stomp user, would you want to get this also? Or is this more targeted towards the people who passed on an HX Stomp and said, no, I don't want that, and now would want this? I'm a little confused as to who this is exactly targeting, but that being said, I do love it. I think it's a cool idea, but I think it's a little misplaced in that it doesn't have any upgrades from the HX Stomp other than, you know, a couple of the regular features. I think being literally meant to be the exact same thing as an HX Stomp might be a big hit for it, like a big fault. Not adding DSP is like, why? I think that even just adding a little bit of DSP, a little bit, would have been a huge, huge bonus and incentive to upgrade to a Stomp XL. I don't see why we wouldn't do that. As much as I love it, it's literally meant to be the same HX Stomp. If it had that more DSP, it would allow us to use the poly pitch effects, and it would allow us to use dual amps and have the routing and the advanced presets that we want instead of having to settle sometimes. It's pretty rare that I run out of DSP on the HX Stomp without using the poly effects, but it's a little bit frustrating knowing that I'm gonna have to still deal with those same parameters and those same restraints moving forward compared to a Helix where I could do anything I want pretty much. The biggest offender, the worst, it's the same stupid power supply that came with the HX Stomp and the HX Effect. Why? What is this thing? This is the, hold on. Okay, what is this? What outlet is this convenient to fit in? This thing. It doesn't work this way, it doesn't work that way. If you plug it into a wall, it falls out if it's heavy. And this cord is like 3 feet? Why? What is the point of this? And not only that, it's a different adapter on the barrel end so that you have to use it. You can't just use a regular 9-volt adapter. But they are, you know, I use the True Tone CS power supplies and they power mine fine. And the XL is approved to be used with any of the third-party ones that power the HX Stomp, which is good, but I wish it just came with a little bit better of a wall wart than this thing, because this thing is the worst. Another major hit and another big complaint that I'm seeing from people is that there is no Variax input. I don't know how big of a deal it would have been to just throw in that little Variax power supply, or even just something that could power it. Forget about, you know, making it fully accessible like it is with the Helix where it changes with the presets and stuff, but even just the ability to power it from the floor would have been huge, and use an actual VDI cable that comes with the Variax. I think that would have been a huge plus and a huge bonus, and I think it's a big miss. But again, it's not what it's meant to do. So keep that in mind when you're thrashing in the comments here. It's not meant to do something different than the HX Stomp is, unfortunately. Another big negative that I found was, if this is supposed to be like a premium upgrade to the HX Stomp, I would have liked to have seen some scribble strips or, you know, some titles. So if you're an MC6 user, you have this display that shows you what name goes with what effect, and you can customize it and name it what you want. You get this with the XL. Let's pretend that this is the Stomp XL. Okay, so your screen will be over here, and it'll tell you your 6 buttons for this side. So that might get a little bit confusing if you're not used to that. Like I said, I'm used to an M9. I used it for so many years that I just get used to remembering what's in what place. But if you're using multiple presets, you might get confused and there's no titles. Audrey's got to be in the video. I mean, for me, it won't be a big deal, but for some users, it's something definitely worth considering is not knowing what foot switch goes with what. It'll be color coordinated, but you'll have to look at the screen and then coordinate that to the buttons. Might get confusing for some, not for me personally, but definitely worth noting compared to the MIDI controller that has the actual scribble strip with the foot switch corresponding to it. So my biggest hope, right? This is what I think could be possible. I would like to see a 6 snapshot mode where all 6 foot switches can become snapshots, and then you have a bank switch by hitting 2 of the buttons like you can with the HX Stomp. So when you're in snapshot mode with the HX Stomp, you can press 2 of those at the same time and it'll bank you up a preset, or it'll take you into a preset select menu, which I think is really nice. If we can do that with the XL, I think it'll be a huge hit. Having 6 snapshots compared to 4 will be a game changer. I would love to see that in an update, if not at product launch. As of right now, they're only marketing, or they only said 4 snapshots. But if you're watching, Eric, Igor, team, everybody, please, 6 snaps would be awesome. And then make your bank preset select menu the same way that you do in the Stomp. Will make it an absolute game changer, and definitely something that's more worth investing in compared to the regular Stomp. And the other final wish or hope is that eventually I hope that the engine improves to where the effects take up less DSP. Since we got no extra DSP, I would love to see a more efficient engine inside to make the DSP more effective, and be able to use the poly effects, be able to run multiple amps, and be able to really maximize what's in there instead of getting hit with the DSP wall and being stuck with grayed out effects and not be able to use all 8 blocks. So if that's possible, great. If not, that one's not that big a deal for me. Whatever. All right, so that is the Stomp XL. That's everything that I know about it, and the regular features that came out, everything that's available. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that this is a worthwhile product? Do you think this is a hit or a miss for Line 6? What do you think that this is going to be? Would you be interested in it as a Stomp user, a new user? Do you have it already? Do you not have anything? If this is your first delve into Line 6, I think this is a great product for you. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.